Well, hi everyone. You don't normally see me like this, but for this I need to. We've been on so many cruises over the years, over 40 years. But this one, I really felt I needed to say something. So this was Sky Princess, and it was 4 weeks ago. We got back 4 weeks ago. And I've written just a few things down. I think people need to know these things and how you were treated at the end of the day. And this is since COVID. Things before COVID weren't too bad. During COVID were brilliant. But this, you wouldn't believe now. I don't know how people can afford these cruises. So, to start with, how they've changed. So, on the last cruise, not the last one, the one before, which was only a 4 week before that, they did an offer for us for the cruise package, for the drinks package, and it was £1,050 for that. When we went on 4 weeks ago, it's gone up to £1,550 plus 18% service charge. So you're paying that for every drink that you get is the service charge. Right. So if we're going on a fortnight's cruise, I normally have my hair done in between because obviously I prefer that. So the last cruise we were on was $35 for do it. On this last one was $76 for exactly the same thing. How do they justify that? Then comes the food. I mean, on a cruise, your food is the most important thing, really, because obviously you can eat nearly 24 hours a day. And I will show you pictures when I've just finished doing this. So the food variety from the cruise before to the cruise this time was very, very noticeable. Now, in the UK, we call a backstreet calf a greasy spoon, where you would get sausage and mash and liver and onions. That's what we got on this cruise. I don't know, it's supposed to be 4-star, but the food was definitely not 4-star. The desserts were practically non-existent. We never even saw a gâteau till the very last day. I had cream caramel, I think. I had it 11 nights out of 14. My mother only had ice cream because there was nothing she liked. I think you got about 4 choices, that was all, and it was quite repetitive. So, on top of that, what made it really bad was the cabin steward. He wasn't very pleasant in the beginning, very arrogant, and obviously the reason I'm complaining is because the ship was that cold. From the time we got on to the time we got off, it was so cold. So my mother's 94. She's been on the cruises over the last 2 years with us, and she actually shivered 4 days out of the cruise. We had to put her in bed because the air conditioning, it was non-existent. You may as well have been in the Caribbean, not Iceland. So obviously we needed a blanket for her. We go to the theatre, she needed the blanket over her knees plus a coat. Same with the marketplaces where you went mostly. You can get anything. You used to go up and get what you wanted and then you sit down. You get, as the Americans call them, French fries. So you get your plate, you get what you wanted on your plate and your French fry, get back to the table stone cold. And literally stone cold. You were sitting with your coats on nearly all the time. But going back to the cabin steward, so we got this blanket, and obviously every day they keep taking it, and then you've got to ask, keep taking it. So my mother put it behind the suitcases, so as we, could use it whenever we wanted, on the bed or whenever. Because I don't suppose the steward cabin will be working in the middle of the night. So we come one day and he wasn't there. So he'd been pilfering in our belongings to get whatever he was after. I don't know. But it just proves you've got to be careful. You just don't know what they're doing. They say, oh, it's worse than the job's worth and all this. But do you really know? And there's a couple of guys I watch. Can't remember the names, but because I watch quite a few of these. And they were on about cameras being in cabins and toilets and stuff. It does make you wonder, Anyway, by the by, that was him, so we refused to have him after that. They got somebody else. The tours for somebody in a wheelchair is non-existent. So if you're thinking of going on a tour and you've got an elderly person in a wheelchair, forget it. The tours were really bad. Just no access. And I'll show you how it is when we go along. So them are the gripes I've got as the ship was so cold. So obviously you complain. You get nowhere. And I mean literally nowhere. We had a woman from Princess Cruises on the phone yesterday. She lets you talk. Oh yeah, she lets you talk. But she knows what she's going to do at the end of the day. So from £3,400 we paid for the cruise, we got £190 and a hamper. Like my husband was saying, if we could have, it was bad weather in Iceland, so we couldn't even get off at Reykjavik. Fair enough, they can't do nothing about the weather. If we had it on, we'd have flown home. I didn't want to stay in that cabin. We all had colds. I've never felt anything like it, to be totally cold all the time. I mean, if you're at home, you go put fire on or central heating on. You got nothing. Absolutely not. I was putting the hairdryer on my mother's feet to keep my mother's feet warm. I was expecting to get pneumonia. But if you want to moan, you get nowhere. I shall never go back. I've been on it 4 times, but never ever go back. So I will actually show you some pictures of how it was. So I'll just get my iPad. And I'll have to show you as I've got them, because I'm not that... Oh, that's me, a little doobie on somewhere. Anyway, so this picture here, I think I'd be better taking you off and putting you down this way. So I will just switch off and then I'll come back. So this was my mum, and you see the suitcases there, and my mum's pointing to the back of that suitcase where we actually put that blanket. It wasn't in sight. But anyway, yeah, like I say, today you've got to be careful. So from there, this is how your food was in the main. I mean, that looks nice, but obviously we were in first, so it makes a difference. You're getting people not washing their hands when they go in, picking up things, putting them back. Nah, the hygiene through the roof. Terrible. That's my mum. As you can see, she is frozen. This is the main marketplace, as they call it. She got a coat on, polar neck, and she is cold. Really, really cold. As you can see, the 2 behind have got coats on. You don't eat in a place like this, anyway, with your coat on. Anyway, so this was the only bit we ever saw of Iceland. That was that one. Now these here are what they call tenders, but they're the lifeboats. That's what they are, lifeboats. And trying to get, well, they don't even attempt to try to get a wheelchair on there, because Anyway, I'll go, you'll see something else. This was another thing for wheelchairs. This is in the corridor. It was like a minefield trying to get through there. They'd have to come out, move it, and terrible. Right, this was one of the meals. Oh yeah, it was fish and chips. That's another, what's it, from here. And my mother didn't want mushy peas, so she says, could I have garden peas? And this is how she got them. I mean, come on. Really? So that's the same one. Oh, I've got to go past these. These are just my nails, as you know. I'm just showing you nothing here, am I? Which isn't very professional. Right, this one, as you can see, is me. And if you can see, I am cutting butter with a knife and fork. Because the butter was that cold. Unbelievable. Right, let's see if I can carry on without my nails. Look at there. And this, again, was the only real, as you can see by the weather, you know, you can see it was beginning to come in. It was lovely to see, mind you. Really, really nice. And if you look, they look a bit like pyramids. Amazing. So, you know, I've never been to Iceland before, but the place itself is amazing. That was the day we were going in, which was obviously the best day. And like I say, it's so cold you don't see anybody about. Same with that beautiful sunset. And that's when we were leaving. Right, this is the tender. Now what it is where they're coming on, there, is a plank of wood. You cannot get a wheelchair on these tenders at all. And, if you notice, some are wearing masks. We were actually told, because there were so many people coughing, sneezing, we were told, or advised, to wear masks. Right? And when we were talking to the idiot yesterday on the phone, the woman from Princess, she says, well, they ask you to do that because of COVID, but it doesn't thrive in winter. It only thrives in summer. So where they got that from, I really don't know. Right, so pull that down. Let's see again. That's how you actually get inside the tender. And obviously, it's cute. I mean, 4,000 people. I mean, crazy. We did actually get off on the, as you saw on the tender, but this is all we saw because there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. It's so barren. Yeah. That was it again. Obviously, like I say, the ship couldn't dock, so you have to use these tenders. That's another view of it. That was me and my mother. This was lovely. As we were coming in. This was into another part of Iceland. I mean, the scenery and everything's beautiful. But you can't go and see the volcano and anything else, you know. That was the captain. Once he saw my mother, we were sitting one afternoon. And we didn't even know he was the captain. And we were sitting there and he come over to us. And he must have been with us about 20 minutes or so, reminiscing over old times. And we did actually say to him about problems. And he said, well, the best thing to do is complain. What's the point? It don't work. And there's your peas again and what have yous. Oh, that was actually showing you, what was it? Food. Making different things with food. And as you can see, a lot of them are just wearing coats. Sitting in an atrium wearing coats. That's my mum. Again, great big thing, jumper. on a cruise ship. That was the other half. And that, like I say, that was my mum. I think that's it. I think them were the only ones that I actually took. So I'll just turn you round again. Yes, I'll be back. I'm back again. Right, for this little section is about how these adverts lie to you, right? At the moment, we've got P&O advertising on the telly. And it shows you a family paddleboarding in the sea, sitting in restaurants. You just notice how many people are in that advert. They make out as you're sitting there on your own that there isn't 4,000 people on the ship as well. You really, really talk about pulling wool over your eyes, isn't it? And what I need to say is, when with us going to Iceland and there was 2 ports that we couldn't dock, Reykjavik was one, and another one. So what they do when obviously, as they say, you know, it's good of them to sort of give you some compensation for it. They give everybody 20% off the next cruise. Not each. You know, if there's 3 of us and it's 3,000, it's neat worked out from there. But it isn't cash. They give it you as a cruise credit. Okay? Now, a cruise credit means you have to use that in 12 months or else you lose it. But as for us, I never want to go back on that ship. So what good is a cruise credit to us? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, this is how they get round things. They know exactly what they're doing. And, well, not much else I can say, really. They lie. Totally. Anyway, I'm just going to switch off and I'll get to my last bit. Right, I'm back again. So, all that I'm just like you to be aware of when you are going on these cruises. When you get your bill at the end of the day, you get such a shock. But main thing is complaining. She even said at the end of the conversation, if you're not satisfied, get in touch with ABTA. That's not professional to me. Not at all. You know, I said to her, would you take your mother at 94 on a cruise like this? She never answered. Never answered. So at the end of the day, we got, out of all that, £190 in a hamper. And then it's as much as to say, take it or leave it. So, if you're thinking of going on Sky Princess, I would think twice. Because everything, the standards have gone down and the prices have gone up. So be aware. That's all I wanted to say. And I'll most likely see you in a nail video. Bye.